This lesson is going to be on solving inequalities. When we have inequalities, there's four inequalities we could have. We have the greater than symbol, which means more than, greater than, larger than, or above. We have the less than symbol, which is smaller than, less than, or below. And then you can have the same inequality signs with a line under it, which means it's going to be less than or equal to. Some other words could be maximum at most, not more than, is not greater than. We also could have the greater than symbol with the line over it, and that means greater than or equal to. Some key words for that are minimum, at least, is not less than, not smaller than. So those are our four inequalities that we're going to be working with. When you solve an inequality, you also have to graph it on a number line. When we're graphing it on the number line, an open circle is used to represent points that are not going to be part of our solution set. So we're going to use an open circle for our greater than and for our less than inequality. A closed circle is going to be used to represent points that are part of our solution set, which is the greater than or equal to and the less than or equal to. And then you're going to shade to the left or the right depending on the inequality. So for this first example, we have x is less than 8. Since it's just less than, it's going to be an open circle because 8 is not a part of our solution set. And all the numbers that are less than 8 are to the left. So that's why we're going to shade to the left. We have x is greater than or equal to 0. Since it's greater than or equal to, that means 0 is a part of the solution set because 0 is greater than or equal to 0. And since it's greater than, we're going to shade all the numbers to the right. So now we're going to solve and graph our inequalities. Even if it doesn't say this, graph it, anytime we solve an inequality, we're always going to graph it. So I'm going to solve it just like I solve an equation. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. I'm left with 4x is greater than 16. I'm going to divide both sides by 4, and I have x is greater than 4. Now to graph it, I'm going to draw a number line, and I'm going to use the number I got in the middle, so it's going to be 4. I'm going to do two numbers on either side. So to the right is going to be 5 and 6. To the left is going to be 3 and 2. Now since it's greater than, it's going to be an open circle because 4 is not a part of the solution set, and the numbers greater than are to the right. So I'm going to shade to the right. If you're ever unsure about the shading, I can pick a number on each side of my number, say 5 and 3, and substitute them into my inequality. So here I have 5 is greater than 4, which is true. And on the other side, I have 3 is greater than 4, which is not true. And I want to shade towards my true inequality. Solve for x and graph. So I'm going to start by adding 7 to both sides. So I have negative x over 2 is less than 2. Now I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So I'm left with negative x is less than 4. Now I have to divide both sides by negative 1. And anytime you multiply or divide an inequality on both sides by a negative number, I have to flip the way my inequality sign is pointing. So it's going to change to x is greater than negative 4. So I'm still going to graph it. I have negative 4 in the middle. I'm going to have negative 3 and negative 2 to the right, and then negative 5 and negative 6 to the left. Since it's just greater than, it's an open circle, and since it's greater than, I'm going to shade to the right. Solve and graph this inequality. I'm going to start by subtracting 6 from both sides. I'm left with negative 2x is less than or equal to now 14 minus 6, which is 8. I'm going to divide both sides by -2. And since I divided both sides by a negative number, I have to remember to flip my sign. So it's x is greater than or equal to -4. Now to graph it, I have -4 in the middle, -3 and -2 to the right, -5 and -6 to the left. Now, since it's greater than or equal to, I'm going to have a closed circle because -4 is a part of my solution, and I'm going to shade to the right. And task 4, solve and graph for x. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. I'm left with 2x is less than 8. Divide both sides by 2. Now it's a positive 2, so I don't flip my sign. So just have x is less than 4. Now I'm going to have 4 in the middle on my number line, 5 and 6, 3 and 2. It's an open circle because it's only less than, and since it's less than, I'm going to shade to the left.